Someone make it make sense.
Probably a couple.
Hello, everybody. You might be like, what the heck, Murdoch? You know, I just missed the bulges. What can I say? So, just for old time's sake, because there's so much special goodness here. Shout out to Black Witter. I couldn't help it. And I was like, let's just have a little change. Oh my gosh. Memory lane. Does it feel like forever ago to you guys when we went down Murdoch Avenue? Where it's only just for the intro, just, you know, it's the intro slides as it were, right? Just as an opening, because I know I usually have the Karen Reed courtroom and stuff, but just to change it up because it's just so nice. I get very nostalgic. How are you guys doing today? And are y'all watching the Alec Baldwin trial? So yeah, so I wanted to say something real quick. I put out a video earlier today for anyone who didn't see it. And so I'm curious your thoughts, Blackwater, on the trial. So I put out a video earlier today for anyone who didn't see Road Trip Group. And hi Kid Smiths, happy you're here. Yeah, you're gonna want to listen. This is, you guys, turns out the select board meeting from the other day is not the only one that's unhinged and incredibly like moving in a lot of ways. Like you're going to want to listen to this. This is, it's amazing. It's really something else. Like I wasn't planning on doing a live stream, but I had a student cancel and I was like watching some of this and I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to stream it because it's so good. It's a bit screamy. Yeah. So yeah, but I was going to say, I did put out a video this morning, and in that video, I said that they had taken down the meeting from the other day. I just realized tonight that I was wrong about that. I just wanted to make a correction. The way they have the website is like really outdated, and it doesn't put things in chronological order. And so, like the way that it was listed, it looked like it was just literally deleted. But it wasn't. It's just that it's just weird. They have like a schedule and they don't play things in order. And so anyway, it's not deleted. Just in case anyone was like panicking, it's not deleted. It didn't disappear. I was mistaken. I thought it had disappeared. It's still there. So anyway, but I just wanted to make sure I said that. So yeah, so you guys said the Baldwin trial is a bit screamy for y'all. So yeah, so by the way, shout out to Jonathan Rubin, who commented on YouTube to let, I don't know if you guys remember how I had made the comment that the chairman dude, his last name was Loughran. And I was like, wow, there's like so many Loughrans, you know. Shout out to Jonathan Rubin, who commented and let us know that that is Lucky's brother. And it's funny because they also all have those T-shirts, as we pointed out too, that are, I think that was Kit Smith's actually that made that connection with the Shamrock, and it says Lucky. But yeah, so it's the same, which makes, I mean, this is crazy, right? Like, I would have thought it would have been more likely that there was two people that just had the same last name, because like that happens in places, but I should have known better. In Canton, they must be related, right? Shout out to Dr. Bob. Also, question for you, my friend. Did you watch the video with the Rule 27? Because that's I owe you all the, and I think I've said it a bunch of times now where I'm like, we wouldn't have known about this except for Dr. Bob. And you know what, you guys, this is why we're so lucky. Y'all, that Rule 27, no one else knew about this. I feel like we were the only ones that did because we had Dr. Bob. And that's why we were the only ones who were like really confused. You're like, wait, why is she not asking the jury about each verdict, right? And we were all like, what's happening? And so now it's all making sense, kind of. I mean, it's, as I explained in the video, it doesn't make sense that Judge Bev didn't follow it, but it does give the defense good room to make a really solid argument for their motion, which I go in depth about that in that video too, for anyone who missed it. Shout out to the road trip crew. Again, if anyone's confused, we are covering Karen Reed. It's just I missed the road trip crew. I missed the Bulges. We just there. See, let me put Lally on the Lallybird, and now we're not confused. Hopefully, right? For anyone who would be confused, we are watching. We're going to watch this Canton Select Board meeting, and we're going to also dive into some of these issues that were raised by not Miss O'Donnell. It was I forget the other lady, Colleen, I think, something. But we're gonna dive into a bunch of stuff. But I just missed our friends. I missed the 5'2" children. They trained their whole lives for this. I missed the chicken. I missed the guineas. I missed the shrimp weasel. Just love it. So festive. DSN's confused. Sorry. DSN's confused. Well, you've also been watching Dr. Hughes, so that could explain it too. Black Widow's ignoring her cat. Good luck to you. Godspeed, my friend, or dog speed, or cat speed. Take your pick. Oh, DSN. Oh my God. I every time DSN gives, just so y'all know, every time DSN gives us an update in the chat of where he's at in the Deputy Heard trial, I have this instinct, this really strong instinct to stop whatever I'm doing and pull it up and live stream it literally there so we can all watch it together, because I'm like, oh my God, we have to all watch this together. Honestly, I'm going to just say something. I am not opposed, despite all the coverage that we've already done on Deputy here. I am not opposed when DSN gets to Amber being on the stand. I'm not opposed to us just watching it together, even if it's just for her on the stand, or even if it's just her and then maybe some of the other witnesses towards the end. I'm not opposed, even though it makes no sense. It's out of order, and we've already covered the sidebars and all the other shit. Not opposed. Chloe got a bird in her. Black Widow combining all of our favorite themes. Well done, Black Widow. Well done. Well done. Kid Smith says, same. Is that same as in you're confused, or are you also proud? Or do you also have a bird in your mouth? That would be weird. Or are you also ignoring your cat? Could also be that. Yeah, so by the way, I solidified my my slogan here with the whose squirrel is it anyway? It's oh, I hope I don't fuck it up. It was right. Whose squirrel is it? Wait, hold on. Whose squirrel is it anyway? Where none of the squirrels are made up and every squirrel matters. Yay! Squirrels, squirrels, yay! Also, hold on. This is more important than anything I can ever say.
There's a chicken. There's a chicken.
Also, I don't know if you guys saw Lawyer, you know, I know he covered the Canton Select Board meeting, but I didn't get to see that until this morning. But like, as I was watching it, I was like, oh my God, amazing. Because y'all know my favorite dude, who we're hopefully we'll see again tonight. Shout out to, where's his banner? I don't know if I'm spelling his name correctly. I'm going to have to look it up. Not them, not the Toe Jam Puppet Band. Hold on. Not the youngster. I have so many shout outs saved on here. I don't know how to spell it, but I think it's, hopefully this is correct. Shout out to Sean Colvern. I thought it was really funny because when it was his turn, for anyone who didn't see it, or even if you did see it, it was really funny because you guys probably heard me say, I was like, Sean Colvern, if you're ever watching this, like, please adopt me. Like, you're my hero. Anyway, but it was really funny because Laura, you know, also loved him. And the funniest part of all was this is like so classic Peter Tragos, right? At the end, he was like, I give him an A+. I was dying laughing. I was like, he gives him an A+. Yes. So I'm like, sir, will you adopt me? And Lori knows, like, A+ job. Oh, God. If any of the people who I ever talk about or give shout outs to, I don't care if you're the youngster, I don't care if you're the flagpole. I've given a lot of shout outs, Radiohead, all kinds of people. Anyone watching, oh, Mark Eiglarsh for that matter, right? Anyone who wants to ever like be on the show, if we can call it a show or whatever, I'll try to figure it out if that ever happens. Or if you're a juror. I mean, you know, it dawned on me the other day because sometimes it happens where like jurors or other people randomly come upon one of these channels. Not that they would ever find my channel. I'm just saying, because it could be 20 years down the road, right? Like for future reference, just want to put it on the record. Like I love talking to people. Look at how funny that looks, by the way. I love talking to people. And so while I have never had anyone, I don't know how to do it. The first thing I want to do is get Dr. Bob on for physics night. We still have to figure that out. But for anyone else, y'all, if you hear this, even if I didn't give you a shout out, for anybody, you guys, like anyone involved in these matters, these cases we cover, I don't think there's anyone I would say no to talking to, honestly. Hold on. I know that there's somebody. Honestly, if Lally wanted to talk, I would talk to Lally because that would be hilarious. There's got to be somebody, though. Who is it? I would like literally wouldn't talk to. Trooper Proctor. I would not talk to him. I would. The Lallybird. There he is. Squawk. We can do a big Lallybird with a Squinguin. That'll be fancy. Yeah, I couldn't talk to Trooper Proctor. I know there's got to be somebody else who like I was like I cannot deal with them. That's interesting, isn't it? What a hybrid. Talk about a hybrid, you guys. Hold on. I love a good hybrid animal. This is a Squinguin with a pineapple. So Squinguin with pineapple plus a Lallybird. So I don't know how you would even mash all those things together, but it's very interesting. Random girl, I hope you're safe from the hurricane. So DSN is saying, I don't know if this is a joke, but if you were a juror in search for the trial, that they may happen upon my channel. Well, for any jurors, one thing I can promise you is that if you don't want too much exposure, but you want to be able to come in to maybe talk about your experience and have some fun maybe as well, especially if you want to make fun of Lally, just saying. You can curse. That's all good. You can talk about your favorite hybrid animals. Reach out. There you go. So we've got the best group here on the planet, in the universe, in this chat of respectful, intelligent, wonderful, awesome, smart people. And is that supposed to be a pun? Because well done. Random girl says everything has blown over now, and she was having hurricane weather. So sometimes there's nothing like an unintentional pun. I love that, right? It's like when you say something, you're like, oh my God, that was a brilliant pun, and I didn't even do it on purpose. Like, but I'm sorry you don't have power. I remember you said you did have a generator, so that's really good. Boy, it's times like these when you're like, times like these when I learn to live again. What song is that again? Or it's times like these when I'm glad I have power again. Or a generator. So yeah. So anyone that's like, yeah, I'd love to come on a channel and talk about my experience, but like I don't want to like be on mainstream media or like, be watched by 50 bazillion or even several thousand people, have you. I don't want too much exposure, or I just want a really cool chat that's like crazy and loves animals and is like squirreling, squirrel crew, then this is the channel for you. Oh, that's right. It's Foo Fighters. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, Foo Fighters. Oh, speaking of which, right? Hold on. Let's do this correctly. Add to my million banners. Hold on. We can add them to the list, right? Shout out to the Foo Fighters. So Foo Fighters, we'll add you into the mix here. If ever the Foo Fighters are watching this show and they want to come on, actually, it's funny, I guess for musicians too, right? Like that's a whole other category. I could talk music for indefinitely. So all right, this is incredible. What a sight to behold on the screen, you guys. This might be my favorite thing. So let's do this. Let's jump into this. This is great. Let's jump into this meeting. And it's really exciting because we're learning a lot. This is really inspiring for me because I had no idea. Like, it's honestly, in a way, it's kind of a shame that that the only thing we kind of knew about, at least when I say we, I mean, without having any background knowledge and without social media and just like what you hear about is like the people that follow like Turtle Boy and whatnot that are like super passionate or whatever. But boy, I am so happy to see that there's just these locals that have been really passionate about making change, even separate and apart from what's going on with the trial for a long time in Canton. And they're not giving up. They're showing up week after week. And this is how real change happens. It's really fucking inspiring. And so let's take a look. Sorry, that's good. That's really good, isn't it? Yay. Squawk. I'm Lally. What a Fanny. All right. Okay, let's see what we got. And so again, this is lucky. Boy, same thing. Are we noticing a theme? They still have the Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Is that an every week thing? That's wild. I guess the taxpayers pay for that because they had that last time. Wow. But yeah, but again, shout out to I forget who it was, but I said their name earlier, who let me know this is Lucky's brother here, the chairman. So let's make sure there's sound. Actually,
good evening, everybody.
Full screen
Welcome
it.
to the June 25th, 2024 Select Board Meeting.
Oh.
As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded by Canton Cable TV.
Right, and so this dude was the one who was absent yesterday, and he's here today. And look at this. He's also got the coffee, the iced Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Although it looks like this fellow's got Starbucks. That looks like the Starbucks cup. Hot coffee, too.
The first item on the agenda is going to be our public comment period.
She's wearing a mask.
Each meeting, I will read a statement about public comment. The public comment portion of the meeting is an opportunity
It's the best part of the meeting.
Feedback and concerns. But the public comment portion of the meeting is not meant to be a
Oh my
question
God.
and answer format. There will be no response to any public comment when presented.
Yeah, Black Witter.
The public comment portion of the meeting
Hold on.
is limited to 15 minutes total.
I have the feeling we're going to end up watching a lot of these and we're going to have his spiel memorized pretty soon. But anyway, I just have to say, especially because of the points thing, right? Black Witter, all of the squirrel points to you, all of them. Lucky Lochran said the hose wasn't where it usually was at the kennels. Black Witter wins tonight, guys. Well done. And that wasn't, she had another zinger earlier too, crossing, hybriding all of our favorite trial things. I love it so much. Right. Yeah. Have you guys ever watched the show Parks and Recreation? Anyone who's seen it is going to already know why I'm asking that question, because that's all I can think about with this. So.
And 3 minutes per speaker. I would encourage
3
those who
minutes
do
is
wish
so
to
short,
speak to
man.
be mindful of others in the room who wish to do the same.
Are you watching
so
this?
that we can make the most
Wow.
of the time allotted and hear from as many people as possible. Anyone
Yeah, there's
who
some
does
new
not wish to
faces.
speak or who is unable to speak due to the limit to the time limit may submit their comments in writing for the board's review and consideration, or they can attend an open office hours with the select board. So the next open office hours will
They
be
all
in
have the
July,
same
but,
fancy
we have
tablet
not,
thing.
Settled on the
Taxpayers.
date or time yet. It's just a little.
I love.
the summer,
I want a gavel like that,
time,
man.
So,
So
we will
cute.
have that at the next meeting. So that being said, let's begin with public comment.
Do you guys also, before they get started, for The Office, another TV show, right? It's funny. It's like I don't even watch TV because I just watch trials. Back when I watched TV, it was like DVDs, right? But it was Parks and Rec and The Office for the most part, right? But The Office reference there. There's a episode where where Michael Scott has I forget, he's in like an adult toy store type deal or something like that. Anyway, at some point he gets like a blow up gavel. I don't remember why he has that, but anyway, I just remember there's a funny bit where the thing squeaks when you hit it on something. So he would take this blow up like gavel thing and like bop it on stuff, and then they would be like, it squeaks when you get it squeaks when you bang it, and then it's like, that's what she said. Anyway, right, yeah. I've actually I delved into one of the zoning meetings earlier, just as good. You've seen this? Wait, you've seen this 3 times now? Wow. So have you guys watched any of the zoning ones? Because those are also really good. I don't know. I kind of want to watch all of them.
It's a Colburn, longtime Canton resident and loyal taxpayer.
Wait a second. Her last name is Colburn? Wait, is she related to my hero? Hold on. Is she his daughter? Wife? Let me back it up.
Will be in July, but we have not settled on a date or time yet. It's just a little hard to coordinate with the summer time. So, but we
shout out to Gogol Bordello, which has a song based on that.
So that being said, let's begin with public comment.
Liza Colburn.
Yeah.
Longtime Canton resident and loyal taxpayer.
What?
I am speaking to the people who are at home.
She's related to him, I think.
Who are not content with the status quo, simply
wife or daughter or sister.
We have a chance to change 3 decades plus of that's how we do it in Canton, starting in April when we have new candidates to outseat the person who referred to us as effing random.
This lady.
Please come to vote in April if you don't like what happens tonight.
The lady who's about to come up behind her, who, because they go back and forth left to right, but the lady who's right behind the one who just spoke is a G, just so you guys know. For anyone who hasn't already seen this.
Miss O'Donnell?
Hold on.
Miss O'Donnell. All right.
Takes them a minute to reset. And
Okay.
go ahead, Miss O'Donnell.
The chief of police out of Stoughton recently released a statement. I was profoundly disturbed and troubled by what I read. While I am not trained medical examiner, I am not qualified to draw any direct conclusions. The findings certainly warrant further examination at the highest level.
There's Rita too back there.
As always, we will continue to assist with any efforts to ensure the truth and justice will prevail. Every good and decent police officer should be aware of the angry about the injustice inflicted upon Sandra Birchmore. Sandra idolized police officers and what policing stood for in America, and she was victimized as a result. The only mantra a good cop must have is never again and never ever on my watch.
That's a good motto.
Quoting another person today is Alan Jackson.
Yes.
You have the most powerful tool. You have a vote. You have agreed to give the community your best. What will you do in this moment?
Wow.
Will you say we'll never look the other way? And lastly, quoting Chris Albert, you are an embarrassment. It's time for you to resign.
Wow. He looked him dead in the fucking eyes and said, I'm not scared of you. Like, I have to say, if you're a juror, oh my gosh, like, it's going to make me feel like if you're a juror for this trial, imagine if after the fact, somehow you'd come upon this, either this channel or just this board meeting. And let's imagine, let me back it up for a second. Imagine that you are a juror and you're watching this and you see how these locals feel, and you hear them quoting Alan Jackson from his closing arguments. And the thing that he's quoting is about empowering jurors with their vote for the sake of the community. Like, imagine you're a juror and you hear this. Like, let's just back it up a second.
Is never again and never ever on my watch. Quoting another person today is Alan Jackson. You have the most powerful tool. You have a vote. You have agreed to give the community your best. What will you do in this moment? Will you say we'll never look the other way? And lastly,
like, that is amazing. Imagine if you're a juror hearing that and how fucked up, especially, like, can you even imagine how much worse it would feel if everything we've heard so far from the jurors that have come out, if all of that's true, right? If they were unanimous on those two, like imagine how they're going to feel now that they never got to fully have their vote heard because Judge Bev didn't ask. I mean, I can only imagine it would encourage them to speak up now, right? Like maybe they didn't get to speak up then, but maybe they want their vote heard now, right? Wow. Is the Canton Town Hall, like, is that a whole separate thing that we can watch also? Because totally want to watch that. Yeah, Kit Smith's, I think Alan Jackson would, that's a great suggestion, or not that it's a suggestion. I'm going to suggest it. Let me put it that way. Kit Smith is asking if Alan Jackson will ever go into politics. I'm going to say Alan Jackson would do fucking phenomenal, and I would totally vote for him, whatever he ran for. I think he's amazing. Yeah, but right into his eyes. Let's watch this again too. Holy fuck.
Quoting Chris Albert, you are an embarrassment.
Incredible.
It's time for you to resign.
Wow. That is the scale. Love her. Love her. Wow. Inspirational, right? Inspirational. Because think about it, guys. No matter the power, the law enforcement, he's not law enforcement, but law enforcement connections and everything. And from everything I can tell, she looks like she's like about my height, like 5'4"-ish. And she's not afraid. I love it. Now, this lady is the other G, I was going to say. And her shirt says, "We ain't got no quit." And oh my God, I just realized, look on her shirt. It's Jackson and Yannetti, and I think Karen Reed is there as well, and Miss Little. But there's Jackson front and center. "We ain't got no quit." Oh, right, because that's what they said after. Right, of course. "We ain't got no quit."
My name's Elise Cohen, a Canton resident.
Wow.
With yesterday's awfully sad news that Sandra Birchmore's death in 2021 has been ruled a homicide, aka she did not commit suicide, but rather she was suicided by the father of her baby, who happened to be a Stoughton cop. In today's jury deliberations, we are on the precipice, of the verdict in the 2020
I'm like
death of Officer John O'Keefe.
I'm like 5'4", like 90 pounds soaking wet. So
In the subsequent trial of Karen Reed, we are about to watch several persons in our community receive federal indictments.
oh my God.
As such, we citizens and Canton taxpayers.
Sorry, I just wanted to say something real quick. I'm gonna rewind it because I care what she's saying, but you guys, I just know it's look who's behind her. Hold on. It's my future adopted grandfather or whoever he wants to be, uncle. He can be whatever, dude. We're gonna hear from him again. I'm so excited. And I don't know if I'm spelling his name correctly at all, but hopefully people know who I'm talking about. But let me back her up just a second. Yeah, the federal indictments. What's she referring to here?
Cop. In today's jury deliberations, we are on the precipice, of the verdict in the 2022 death of Officer John O'Keefe and the subsequent trial of Karen Reed. We are about to watch several persons in our community receive federal indictments. As such, we citizens and Canton taxpayers are no longer.
This is before
these select board meetings. You simply cannot continue to pretend to listen to your constituents, and sometimes not even pretend, but instead be fidgeting with your iced coffee or looking at your laptop.
That's right.
Solitaire, whatever you're doing.
Yes.
Very valid, crucial, and urgent matters. This business as usual attitude
Them and their fucking
is
ice.
beyond reprehensible and shows uncaring, unethical behavior, especially while our town is on fire. Change is needed yesterday at a time when all eyes are on
you guys. She's speaking fast to try to get through all of these talking points in 3 minutes, but I want to take a moment to appreciate what she's saying. Listen to how she just says this, especially while our town is on fire. Wow.
Community receive federal indictments. As such, we citizens and Canton taxpayers are no longer putting up with being ignored at these select board meetings. You simply cannot continue to pretend to listen to your constituents, and sometimes not even pretend, but instead be fidgeting with your iced coffee or looking at your laptop, playing solitaire, whatever you're doing, while people bring up very valid, crucial, and urgent matters. This business as usual attitude is beyond reprehensible and shows uncaring, unethical behavior, especially while our town is on fire. Change is needed yesterday at a time when all eyes are on Canton to even consider contract renewal for our police chief, who allegedly took part in the murder cover-up, is equally reprehensible. Chief Rafferty should be fired, not rehired. And for the select board to vote her back in to continue ineffectively leading the department where her reports have no respect for her is preposterous. All of our safety is currently at stake with her at the helm. And I wonder, and I ask, how you can possibly justify this vote. Certainly it is not by reviewing her past and current performance. CPD had no disciplinary actions reported since 2000, yet I have a post-commission report in my hands listing 61 complaints involving 25 out of 46 officers on the roster, many with multiple incidents. The officers were reprimanded, counseled, or were involved in civil lawsuits, resulting in the town paying out lots of money in settlements to the aggrieved. One officer was named in not one, but 2 civil lawsuits. And instead of getting fired, that officer got promoted. Insane, isn't it?
Yep.
And the chief herself had 3 complaints, with one ending in a civil lawsuit. Interestingly enough, 3 CPD LE that were named recently as being allegedly involved in this case have no complaints. Chief Berkowitz, Kevin Albert, and Tim Kelleher. No complaints since 2000. Could be, I don't know. And 3 involved had complaints that once they were investigated were unsubstantiated, according to this report. That's Gallagher, Good, and Healy.
Gallagher.
In any case, I ask you to seriously consider
Which one's linked?
that renewing
Which one's linked, Dr. Bob?
Helena's contract would have on this town. Thank you.
Are you going to go to one of these, Dr. Bob?
Ms. O'Donnell, can you please step away? You've already been at the microphone.
Fucking
Please
hell,
step
man.
back. All the way back, please. Thank you. You're up.
Kristin Anderson, Canton resident. The women ahead of me, the women behind me, the women too scared to speak, and myself
Wow.
are somebody's daughter,
Wow.
sister, mother, maybe grandmother, and wife.
Man.
Would any of you want the women near and dear to your heart to be treated in the same manner that we are
Ah,
by the boys
Thank you, Dr.
of this town?
wow.
And please do not confuse the boys with the men.
Wow.
There is no comparison.
Wow.
None.
Wow.
We demand respect. We will not shut up until we get it. Speaking of respect,
Yeah.
Mr. Albert is still allowed a seat amongst you
Wow.
when he has no idea what respect is. His antics on Sunday evening were unacceptable. There is no law forbidding anyone from patronizing a neighboring business,
Wow.
and the support he gave his family for disrespecting those patrons is disgusting and unacceptable. Mr. Albert being on the board.
So this is really interesting. Like I commented on this yesterday, that in terms of just what we see from the outside, if we're not living there, right? You know, it's sort of like, it wouldn't, okay, how to phrase this? It wouldn't seem implausible that they might really hate Turtle Boy, right? And the people who are like really, I don't know. I guess there's, I think you can be on all sides. Like you don't have to be you don't have to support Turtle Boy or be a part of the free Karen Read movement, right? To see the injustice and to, you know what I mean? Like these people aren't wearing free Karen Read shirts. They're not, they're just locals. But okay, what am I trying to say? So like, but it would be reasonable, or it wouldn't seem implausible, right? That maybe the locals really would actually, even if they wanted, even though they might support the defense, right? Or even though they might see the injustice and they, you know, all that they might still not really like or say Turtle Boy got what he had coming, for example, right? So it's really interesting to hear from them, from their perspective, how they feel about that incident happening, that they don't think he was in the wrong. Like, in other words, because people might comment on social media or not, whatever, mainstream media, that Turtle Boy was in the wrong, because I'm sure he's been in the wrong. And again, I don't know much about any of that. You all know. But there's plenty of things that people could critique, right? But it's just interesting to hear from the locals' perspectives that he wasn't in the wrong. That you know, we heard some of that last night as well. And it's really clear that regardless of anything else, it's like, it's not like they're like standing up there like, we love Turtle. Like, that's not it, right? They're just like, that was unacceptable for Kevin Albert. So yeah, does that make sense? Blackwater wants pizza. Yeah, but this is awesome. Here, I'll back it up just a second here.
From patronizing a neighboring business and the support he gave his family for disrespecting those patrons is disgusting and unacceptable. Mr. Albert being on the board holds him to a higher standard.
Yeah,
But you
right,
left
right.
with the sexually inappropriate comments, the body shaming, the threats to smash somebody's skull up and down the street, and all the other comments that were very disrespectful to a woman. You laughed. You laughed as your sister-in-law called me fat.
Holy fuck.
You laughed as your sister-in-law called me Big Bird.
Oh my God.
You laughed
What?
when your son said, and I quote, "You look like a dude." Oh, and don't worry. I won't tell you you gotta go, because you already know. You are a sad representative
Wow.
of this town, an
Wow.
embarrassment, a disgrace.
Wow.
If you don't step down, shut your mouth, and have your families' mouths shut as well. Live up
Right.
to the standards of an elected official. The women here tonight are strong women,
Yep.
and we will not be silenced by your arrogance.
Wow. Holy shit. So Sean,
James White.
now I don't know. These people are, I love them all. Like, but Sean, as y'all know, he's got his same notebook there. He let this guy go in front of him because he's a G and he's probably like, here, I'm going to, it's like, let this other guy have a turn.
So the last time I spoke, I talked about integrity of the board and what their responsibilities were as far as what they needed to do for the town. They do not owe Helena Rafferty anything. Their obligation is to the town's people.
Wow.
What is best for the town, not Helena. I mean, that is what your job is.
Wow.
What you were elected for. You ran for a position to run the town as best you thought.
For anyone who's listening and not watching, like maybe Kitsmits, I just want to describe this fellow. This fellow looks like he's actually quite tan compared to everyone else. Like, I'm wondering if because it's summertime and they're in Massachusetts, if maybe he's like in the summertime, he's like out on a boat doing some fishing. He's wearing a shirt that says Whiskey Shack Private Reserve Superior Single Malt Made in America. And he's awesome.
And if you think rehiring Helena is best for the town,
Dr. Bob.
you're sadly mistaken. The people have already spoken about that.
No, have not heard about it.
So I don't understand what the problem is. Why can't you see that and address it and say that to the townspeople, we understand, we hear you, and we will do something to ensure that what we do is best for the town of Canton, not Helena Rafferty or the police department. The town. That's what is, the voice is being spoken, and that's what should be heard. And that's what you should be doing as representatives of the town. And, Mr. Albert, you represent the town right now, unfortunately. And your actions are speaking how you feel about how you represent the town. Okay? Everybody's hearing what you're saying.
Wow.
And everybody's hearing your silence. This board, do something that is appropriate and save the town before it's too late.
Yep, go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Carol Farwell Kelly, and I am a fourth generation Canton Townie. I'm not proud of this town anymore, the way my
Oh,
dad,
I hate this for.
grandmother, great-grandparents
Ugh.
were. And
God,
I was here.
it's heartbreaking for these people, right? Who like they're all these generations. Oh man, wow.
Just about a year ago, and
Oh.
I said, there was a bunch of townies, multi-generational, we talked, and they said, did you hear something bad happen at the Albert's house and it wasn't the girlfriend? And we said,
Wow.
yes.
Fuck.
So I got up and talked a year ago, and I've been trying to get other multi-generationals, but they're afraid their grandkids will be picked on, or they'll get,
Wow.
stopped, or there'll be repercussions, or their
No.
kids won't make
Fuck
sports
no.
teams.
Wow.
So I said, okay, here I am again. It's like 29 months.
Holy
I
my.
mean, how much
Wow.
patience? When Chief Helena said, to have patience, how much patience? And as far as the weather goes, I just want
Yeah.
to say it here. To put in the paper, have a policeman put in the
Right.
paper in blizzard-like conditions, there were 2 to 3 inches. You could have seen anything there.
Wow.
At that time.
Fucking
It's
hell.
just very frustrating. And the only thing I can say is
Wow.
I wish the town could be put into receivership. I don't even know how to go about doing
Wow.
that, but I feel like
Wow.
nothing's happening. And even
Wow.
with court going on, it's just not happening. And I
Wow.
just wanted to go back.
Oh my
I
God.
know I can't go back to the
Oh my
Canton
God.
of old,
I'm gonna.
but the Canton of new can still be a good Canton if you work with us. Okay.
I'm gonna play that again. Wow. Wow.
Yep, go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Carol Farwell Kelly, and I am a 4th generation Canton Townie. I'm not proud of this town anymore, the way my dad, grandmother, great-grandparents were. And I was here just about a year ago, and I said, there was a bunch of townies, multi-generational, we talked, and they said, did you hear something bad happen at the Albert's house and it wasn't the girlfriend? And we said, yes. So I got up and talked a year ago, and I've been trying to get other multi-generationals, but they're afraid their grandkids will be picked on, or they'll get, stopped, or there'll be repercussions, or their kids won't make sports teams. So I said, okay, here I am again. It's like 29 months. I mean, how much patience? When Chief Helena said,
Yeah.
to have patience, how much patience? And as far as the weather goes, I just want to say it here. To put in the paper, have a policeman put in the paper in blizzard-like conditions, there were 2 to 3 inches. You could have seen anything there if it was there at that time.
Wow.
It's just very frustrating. And the only thing I can say is I wish the town could be put into receivership. I don't even know how to go about doing that, but I feel like nothing's happening. And even with court
Wow.
going on, it's just not happening. And I just wanted to go back. I know I can't go back to the Canton of old, but the Canton of new can still be a good Canton if you work with us.
Oh,
Okay.
oh my God. Rita's coming up. Rita's coming up. Wow.
Sally.
My name is Kathleen Howley. I'm a resident of Canton. I am not a townie, and I'm not a well-connected townie. That means that I am like the vast majority of this town. The vast majority of this town is not townie and is not certainly not well-connected townie. And I'm concerned about the safety of the people who are not well-connected townies. Because if we speak up, we get threatened, we get smeared. I have
a question. So the townie thing. So I don't really quite understand that. Does that mean that you come from generations that lived there? Is that what that means? Because like that previous lady who was awesome just called herself a townie. But like obviously she's not an Albert, right? She's not connected to the Alberts, but she says she's a townie. But then let me back it up just a second. So I'm trying to understand, because this seems to be kind of an important thing here, which from what I can, seems like she's going to say, right? She's not a townie.
My name is Kathleen Howley. I'm a resident of Canton. I am not a townie, and I'm not a well-connected townie.
Yeah, I know.
That means that I am like the vast majority of this town. The vast majority of this town is not townie and is not certainly not well-connected townie. And I'm concerned
Okay, thank you.
about the safety of the people who are not well-connected townies. Because if we speak up, we get threatened, we get smeared.
Wow.
I had a creepy guy sitting outside of my house
Oh my
a few
God.
months ago. And I went to the police and I reported it. My
Oh my-
neighbors who
Oh my God.
don't scare easily were scared for me.
Wow.
I had a picture of the car.
Wow.
At the end of filing my police report, I said, hey, wouldn't this be a great opportunity to use those flock cameras that we've all heard from you guys are so
Wow.
great and so useful?
Oh my God.
And that officer said to me, well, that would take a long time. And I understood, because I've been speaking out now for a year. I understood what he meant is, you don't count.
This is insane. I don't even have the words. The flock cameras, didn't those come up in trial? Do you guys remember? I'm trying to remember what they are because I feel like we heard them referenced. Now, I don't know that we saw them spelled out. So I don't know if it's flock, like Flock, or like FLAC, but they have an accent. Does anybody remember specifically what type of cameras those are? Yeah. All these definitions that you guys are giving me about townies would make sense. So I'm just curious, maybe Dr. Bob, being that he's a local, maybe Dr. Bob, if he's still listening, he can let us know since he's from, because it could mean something different in different places. That would make sense, right? That's not even a word that I hear where I live at all. So, but yeah, does anybody remember? And I'm going to do a Google search and see if I could find the thing about the cameras too. But if anyone remembers, let me know in the chat. This is I don't even know. I mean, I remember I said last night they're fed up, but like that's an understatement, and it's obvious as to why. I mean, this is crazy.
At the end of filing my police report, I said, hey, wouldn't this be a great opportunity to use those flock cameras that we've all heard from you guys are so great and so useful? And that officer said to me, well, that would take a long time. And I understood, because I've been speaking out now for a year. I understood what he meant is, you don't count.
Wow.
The police are not here to protect you. We had a 911 call on Sunday night in the center of town. It took 17, 18 minutes for the police to respond. The police station was 2 miles away.
Wow.
When Mr. Albert calls the private cell numbers, as the well-connected townies do, they don't call 911 like we call. They don't call, the
Wow.
recorded line. Hello, this is a recorded line. They don't know what that's like. We call and we say,
Thank you,
hello,
Dr.
we
Rob.
hear, hello, this is a recorded line. What
Passed
is your
downhill.
problem, whatever.
That makes sense.
They don't do that. They call the cell phone numbers, and the officers self-dispatch, a term I never heard before I moved to Canton.
Incredible.
Self-dispatching police.
Wow.
If you are a townie and a well-connected townie.
Wow.
I'm here to say,
Wow.
I count, my family safety counts, the safety of all of the not well-connected.
Can I just say, the respect is an understatement, but that you have to have for these people for not moving, right? Like, I'm thinking about it, like listening to what she's saying, it's like 99.9% of people would just move and they would be totally in the right to do that after what she's describing. It sounds like an absolute nightmare. It's like living in fucked upville. Like, that's what it sounds like. It's like, holy fuck. Like the way she just described, yeah, I'd never heard of a self-dispatch until I moved to Canton. So clearly she's from somewhere else, which is why, again, not a townie. And it's like, she's not moving. She's staying there. It's incredible.
Counties, counts, we pay most of the bills in this town. We pay most of the taxes that pay the police salaries. And we have gotten the message that we do not count. What are we worth? Maybe half a human life of a well-connected townie, but certainly not worth a townie, a well-connected townie. And I say well-connected because there are many townies here tonight, and there are many townies who have spoken out bravely and suffered and been threatened. And once you speak out, they don't care about you anymore. We count too, and we need a police chief who cares about all Canton residents and the safety of all Canton residents. We had 2 shooting threats, and we were told, trust the police, February, March. Trust the police who think red Solo cups are a good way to collect evidence?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Howley.
It looks like the flock cameras, by the way, like they combine license plate recognition with like gunshot detection and regular like surveillance camera video. So it says gather evidence faster, solve crime quicker with layered intelligence across LPR, so license plate reader, audio, video, and situational awareness. It gives you a holistic look at crime. And they are a private company, Flock, that seems to sell to like cities, basically, like, or businesses. Like, they are a private company that you can, law enforcement seems to use, and your city can buy. So in other words, their taxpayer dollars paid for these Flock cameras apparently to be purchased by the town, and I guess are not in use. So.
So, Lombardi, of course, you're at the back of the line again, and we passed our 15 minutes. If you can do it very quickly, I will allow you to
Miss
speak, but we're
Lombardi.
past the 15 minutes. So
Thank you
please.
very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Then I will just get to the point.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Yay.
we have a lot of issues in this town. We have a leadership problem in this town. Mr. Albert, I don't know. I guess you can just do whatever you want because there's no consequences, and it's a bad look for us. So I'm just trying to be brief. I do want to let this town know that we have a hero in this town. That is Lucky.
That's Turtle Boy right there with that sign. So I bet that was him last night then. Or the one we watched last night, because I was like, is that Turtle Boy? Because he clapped when Chris Albert apologized, he clapped. You guys remember me pointing it out? And I was like, is that Turtle Boy? That's definitely him right there.
Lucky Lofgren. We love. We were told to wait for the trial and to form opinions after the trial. We have listened for 9 weeks for this trial, and we heard 28 days of storytelling and 1 day from the defense with credible witnesses. We know what happened. We know we have a leadership problem. Lucky is the one hero from Canton who told the truth. And for the people in this town who has speak out, we have paid personal sacrifices. And I know Lucky has paid personal sacrifices too, because that's what comes with telling the truth. It has cost us relationships with our loved ones. It has cost our loved ones relationships with their loved ones. It has rippled and ripped families apart. That is why we are divided. We need more Lucky Lofgrens in this town. And I ask all of you tonight to rise to the challenge.
I want to rewind that because that's important. Because you guys, us that don't live there, which is all of us, right, are like, and everybody is like, why the hell, what's the issue here? It's obvious. Like, it's obvious. Shout out to Needs Some Z's. Happy to see you, my friend. It's like, it's obvious that Karen Reed is innocent, blah, blah, right? All the stuff's obvious. And we're having such a hard time figuring out why is there even a discrepancy. Listen to what she says here, because again, this local perspective is really what I think has been missing in terms of getting a better understanding. So let me rewind that.
We were told to wait for the trial and to form opinions after the trial. We have listened for 9 weeks for this trial, and we heard 28 days of storytelling and 1 day from the defense with credible witnesses. We know what happened. We know we have a leadership problem. Lucky is the one hero from Canton who told the truth.
It's inspiring.
And for the people in this town who has speak out, we have paid personal sacrifices, and I know Lucky has paid personal sacrifices too, because that's what comes with telling the truth. It has cost us relationships with our loved ones. It has cost our loved ones relationships with their loved ones. It has rippled and ripped families apart. That is why we are divided.
That's it. That's why they're divided. So it sounds to me like there's people that maybe just, okay, let's say, okay, people that aren't local there that are like, still don't understand and can't see the evidence for what it is. I can't, that's a whole other thing. But it seems like at least there locally, the division perhaps isn't so much as like stupidity or ignorance, so much as the division is because people are being punished for supporting the side that's not the side of law enforcement, right? Like she said, like the first lady, or not the first lady, but the couple ladies ago was like, you know, the grandkids of them, they don't get picked for sports teams. They get bullied at school. They get stalked. People's families are splitting up. Like people are being harassed. People are, you can, just for speaking the truth. So, and even if they don't speak up, it seems like just for knowing the truth, right? So you can see how for locals, this is, it makes more sense now to me. It makes more sense now to me because they're having to make people are punishing them for not taking the side of law enforcement or taking the side of the Alberts is what it sounds like.
We need more Lucky
Wow.
Lofgrens in this town. And I ask all of you tonight to rise to the challenge.
It's like, I want to get my last word in, guys. They're clapping and taking up her time. She's like, I want my, they, oh my God, they're going to cut her off, man. Oh dear. She wants to say something, guys. Let her
One last
speak.
sentence. Listen, I ask you, please rise to the challenge of Lucky Lofgren. Vote like Lucky Lofgren. Vote
Okay.
your heart. Vote your truth. When it comes to the police chief's contract, please, it could be career ending. A yes vote could be career ending. Please do the right thing. We want to work with you.
Thank you, Ms. Lombardi. Folks, calm down.
Next on the agenda, public hearing to request modifications to the 7th Amendment of the Development Agreement between Canton Holdings and the Town of Canton for site design, number of buildings, and unit count. In addition, a proposed 8th Amendment to the Develop Agreement between Canton Holdings.
Wow. So he's actually doing more in this meeting. What's interesting is it seems like, so he's doing, so in the last meeting, the one from just the other day, he basically read his apology and that was pretty much it. It seems like he's actually like kind of still acting like, oh, so that's an interesting contrast, isn't it? So I have a question, DSN, if you're still here. I did a Google search for the town hall meeting. I don't see where that has any like, I don't see where that is televised. And also to you, Dr. Bob, I did a Google search for the rubber duck thing. I don't know what, I'm curious about that. I can't see anything on the internet about the rubber ducks being left out there at D&E Pizza. So I don't know if it's just the Google algorithm is failing me, but I can't find, I have the Town of Canton's website. Here, I'll just share that with you guys real quick. And so you guys can see what I'm looking at. But I'm not seeing anywhere where they have the town hall meetings. So let me know if anyone knows where they are now. You can see the agenda. So these are the documents with like their minutes. But can you imagine how many times people click on this and nothing gets done? Where my mouse is here, it says report a concern. Such a shame. Okay, Dr. Bob says, local story will keep you posted. Okay, DSN was referring to the same meet. Right. Gotcha. Yeah. We watched that one last night. Okay, yeah. I thought because I think what will be interesting is because we can watch these. I'm curious over time, right? Like, you know, it looks like they do these every week. Well, they actually have meetings like every day or whatever, but the ones where it's the select board, I think is like once a week. It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens over time and what has happened over time. Yeah, DSN, I did that last night. And we were like, where's DSN? Actually, Black Widow tried to summon you. And we were like, where's DSN? And like, it didn't work. So yeah, keep us posted, Dr. Bob, on that rubber ducky thing. We did the first half of the meeting, and then we did an intermission where we read the affidavit with the fourth juror, and then we did the rest of the meeting. And we did my flow chart, which if you missed it, you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, the flow chart with the outline of the defense issues raised in the motion to dismiss. So, okay, so let me go back to bloop, 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 bloop. Okay, hold on. Share this tab instead. Yeah. So let's see. So let's I definitely feel like I care more about the local part at the beginning than the rest of it. You guys let me know if you want to see the rest of it on these, but I definitely care more about the see, this is a good example of how it's all just fucking out of order. That's why I was confused. But yeah, y'all let me know if you want to see the rest of it. But let me see if there's another. Like, see how it's just the same ones on repeat? It's really funny. So like right now, this is what they're airing, I guess, on the local TV channel, the Canton. Like, let's just see. It's like this is airing now, I guess, on their TV station. I don't even know how that works, but like, see
Good
how
evening and welcome to the July 10th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting. I'm Emilio Mauro, Vice Chair of the Finance Committee. And for the record, joining us tonight are Finance Committee members Dan Cole, Maureen Menconi, Kristin Mirigliani, and Ruki Shute. And we have Randy Scott.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's really interesting information in every single one of these meetings, right? Zoning board, planning board, all of it. All of it, I think, probably has, but it looks like you can't see. Oh, look, hold on. Let me do this. Brains. To have brains would be nice. Now, I don't know. It's very funny because it's like the way that this is done is just weird. It's not done by week. Anyway, I don't know. It's like, I guess they have a TV schedule. It's odd. I'm going to try to find another select board. Ooh. 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 Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Hold on. Let's see what this is about. This is the Canton Police Board audit. Whoa.
2024.
Holy fuck.
Remind everybody, these meetings are being recorded by Canton Cable, and welcome to
Y'all.
the meeting.
Y'all.
First agenda item is to approve the minutes of 4:29. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Oh, dude, Dr. Bob.
Discussion?
Sorry. That's fucking hilarious. I did not see that comment until just now. I'm guessing that's exactly what I'm looking at right now.
That's pretty loud. Sorry. Abstain on that one. Just the fact what we've been talking about in email, like I've been accused of making an end run on stuff, sending to the staff person. So I think it would be appropriate to abstain on that one.
Fine. We'll do it by roll call, so where it's not going to be unanimous. So Kathleen?
I abstain.
You'll abstain. Abstain?
Abstain.
So it would be 302 on the minutes of 4:29.
Oh, yeah. I recognize her.
And
The
I'm
lady on
moving
the
the
left.
minutes of
Wow.
5:16.
If your people.
We have a motion on that? Second? Discussion?
And one discussion on that, those minutes were kind of changed in the same manner that I changed them. Edits came back. I didn't
Yeah, right.
see what town council recommended to send by and CC the changes to the whole committee on that. So I'm just not familiar with actually who made the
Well,
changes.
there's only 3 words changes in one area. It was added. You got a copy of that originally. That wasn't changed. Everything else is unchanged.
Okay.
They seem confused.
I guess I'll be fine with them.
Okay.
Gonna make a
All right.
big deal
Should we
about
make
that.
sure everyone's on the same page?
So
Probably.
we have a
Probably a good
motion and
idea.
second, Kathleen?
I'm sorry?
How are you going to move on 5:16 minutes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, that's that same girl. Good eye, Dr. Bob.
Yes.
Good
Yes,
job.
so that'll go 5-0.
Wow.
All right.
Good for her
that
getting a
brings
seat
us
there.
To the fun. We'll look at the scope. At the last meeting, we ended with citizens' complaint, which brings us to
Wow.
conflict of interest.
Wow.
Um,
They're going to be here all
was number
year.
11, I don't know what it is right now.
Fucking hell,
Still
man.
number 11.
So, okay.
Wow, y'all. This is interesting. Yup. What are they doing about this?
The first
Interesting.
paragraph, Dave, you had added at the end adherence to conflict of interest. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're.
What? What do you
So
mean?
when we look back to the original motion, Mr. Chair, it states the adherence to policies and procedures. So what we're ultimately looking for, conflicts of interest is covered under Mass General Laws 268A. There's a number of subsections in that, and we just want to make sure that, officers within the department are following those laws and they're adhering to them. A number of the policies and procedures do.
So he seems like he's also got a good head on his shoulders.
Those procedures. So we're just looking to make sure that, there is a policy on the books. Is it being adhered to? We want to make sure, that it's actually being enforced and it's an actual.
I'm surprised there's not more
policy.
people there.
Hopefully that can help to clear.
He does.
For you.
Well, we've got investigate potential conflict of interest. Other than that, when you get into telling them how to do it, it's almost like means and method in construction. which you
Y'all,
can't do. I mean, you can't tell-
what are you guys' thoughts? It sounds to me like this dude, and of course Miss Howley, who we already heard from, they're like, yeah, so it's not that complicated, right? Conflicts of interest. Are they following by the guidelines? Blah, blah. And this dude's like, well, I don't really understand, like, blah, blah. Is that what you guys are getting? Also, it's still the weird tables as
tell
well.
somebody, I want this built, and this is how you have to do it. You just say, I want this built, get it done. I'm not against it. I just don't want to down.
He sounds like he's against it. He sounds like dude, this is interesting. How are you going to argue against following the rules for conflicts of interest, though?
For instance, if there was a conflict of interest, did anything happen?
Right. He's like,
as
this is just
what was
common sense.
required by the statute, or did it just get swept under the rug and
Well,
I like this
nobody
dude.
knows about it? So
under B, you've got to
Right.
assess policies on gifts, secondary employment, and relationship.
Wow.
All of
That
that.
was
go-
yours.
This
goes
is
in with it.
insane.
If you follow the A, B, and C, a lot of that answers, I think.
In case anyone's curious
Mr.
Catherine?
Chairman,
as to why he keeps looking up, it's not looking for a bird or a plane. It's because if you remember the select board, they had this fancy tablet things. These guys don't have that. So the documents and shit, which they showed briefly on the screen, it has, I don't know exactly. He's looking up because way up there on a big TV screen or whatever is the only place where they can view the shit they're supposed to be talking about, which is interesting, right? And the other thing that's interesting is the dude who's in the center, who I guess is like the leader, this guy, there's no way he could even possibly see it, which is interesting, right? It's almost puts him in a position where it doesn't even matter what the rules say or what the guidelines say or what the statute, like, because literally he can't even see it if he wanted to. He'd have to literally put his back to the camera.
I think there's a missing word there.
That's
Yeah.
very possible.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
That
Let me-
adherence to conflict of interest laws.
I'm going to pause real quick. I will say that the volume is quiet on this and it's all the way up. Let me just make sure I can turn myself down. Let me do that. I'll turn myself down, but it is quiet. They are quiet. It's supposed to be on automatic, but I'll just turn it down. Let me know if this is any better and I can turn it down more. But yeah, I can't turn them up. So
There are very clear state laws, and of course we all took the course that we have to take as to be on the committee, and we all know how extensive
Thank you,
these
Dr. Bob.
conflict of interest laws are. And when I have noticed that there seems to be like not a lot of emphasis in Canton on conflict of interest laws. So you could use the word rules if that somehow, if that sits better with people.
Yeah. She's saying that I guess they're going to be quibbling over rule versus law. So Dr. Bob is saying that there's 3 townies to the right and 2 non-townies to the left. So, okay. So I'm getting the impression that typically the townies have a reputation of being well connected, maybe connected to the Alberts. Maybe they have special privileges. Also, let me know if my mic level is better. I turned it down. Things of that nature. However, we did hear from that lady earlier who says she's a townie, self-proclaimed townie, but is fighting out or stepping up, whatever, stepping out, fighting against all the injustice. So I think that what we can understand is like, and she said she was having a hard time getting other townies to join her. So I would imagine that let me know, Dr. Bob, if this is accurate, that generally the townies are going to side with the Alberts because they're getting favors and privilege and whatnot, and they don't want to ruffle any feathers for the most part, right? So in other words, the townies to the right at the weird table would be people who are, in that camp, right? And then the non-townies would be the ones to the left, right? So does that make sense? Okay, good. I'm glad that's better for you guys. And then Needs Some Teas is asking how often they happen. They have these meetings. It looks like every week there's different ones. So they have them all, right? Yeah. It looks like every week they have different meetings. It looks like the select board is maybe every other week or something. Okay, correct. Dr. Bob says. I guess that's probably in reference to the townies. So yeah, so we're gonna stay on top of it though with this, because this is crazy. I do want to see how this plays out. Glad I found this.
Conflict of interest is on the books. So.
Rules
Good.
and regulations, conflict of interest, rules and regulations.
I would be fine with that.
Could we change it
Conflicts
to-
of interest, if I may, Mr. Muse, conflict of interest, Mass General Law 268, rules and regulations.
You want to limit it to one thing? Fine, but you're limiting
I
it.
think that's the problem. You're limiting it. There's more
It could be a
laws in the
departmental.
state of Massachusetts on conflict of interest than 268, and the other one you cited 38, 3, and 4, although that's on murder and so forth. But 268 doesn't cover everything. You also have a complete department on conflict of interest from departments in the state. I want the entire thing covered. And if it says, conflict of interest, then I think that is endemic on them to find them, and without pointing out and being specific as to which area. Conflict of interest in the state of Massachusetts, comply with the Mass state laws.
To make, I think maybe for unison, perhaps if we said rules, laws, and regulations, and you're encapsulating, as you point out, everything, but then specifically letting them know that we're concerned about the state laws as well. Okay.
I have a question in sentence A and section E. I mean, we're talking about an audit, and the use of the word.
Here we go. So now we can see what they're looking.
I think goes beyond an audit. I think we should look for a word that's more appropriate.
Okay, I'm going to pause this. He was just saying we're going to look for a word that's more appropriate. Let's take a look. Let's read this together because I don't know how long they're going to keep the camera here. So here's what's happening that I can glean from this is that this is what they're supposed to be doing to address conflicts of interest. And as you can tell, there's certain people that are sitting there on that committee that are pushing back. Okay. But this is what is being suggested that they do. Hopefully you can see my mouse. So A, investigate potential conflicts of interest and adherence to conflict of interest rules, laws, and regulations. That's what they were just talking about. Among officers, staff, elected officials, and appointed officials. Assess policies on gifts. Does that sound familiar, guys? Trooper Proctor. Secondary employment and relationships. Review disclosure procedures. Okay, so they're trying to update, it looks like, the guidelines for that makes sense for the police. Review disclosure procedures and see if they've been followed. I'm curious where it's red and underlined. What does that mean? Or those are things they want to, those are changes, I guess, from what it was. Recommend measures to prevent and address conflicts. Investigate the influence of family members of the police and family members of elected officials. Wow. Review cases that were handed over to the Attorney General and the state police for conflicts of interest and report back on the outcomes of the investigations. And then I'm really interested when they get to this part, comparisons to similar communities that's going to be really interesting. So my takeaway from this too is like where it's blue, that would be a link that I guess they could click on, right? And then I guess what's red and underlined would be changes from what was there. So if that's accurate, then what that would mean is that the things that are in black is what they had before in their, I guess, in their police handbook for conflicts of interest, and that's all it was. And the red with underlines, this is just this is my guess, right? I guess based on what it looks like, but those are the additions or changes. So that's interesting, isn't it?
For an audit situation and then an investigation, to me, an investigation is looking into wrongdoing. And I think, possibly exploring any potential conflicts of interest as opposed to the use of the word investigation.
Or reviewing, I think that's the word. What is the word that the actual Article 6 used? Was it a reviewing, I believe?
We use review in other places. Why not just for continuity use review?
Yeah, I think that's more than appropriate.
It does say review, so the majority of the report
Wow.
that we've approved so far does say review, so I'm fine with review and investigations of the rest of the committee is.
Wow.
So I think we need it for A as well.
Right.
All right, so that means both what's here is in red and C and D would be removed and the language in added into the upper. Is that what you're saying? I just want to be clear so Allison is clear when she's writing this.
What did you say about red?
Well, I don't think we're eliminating C and D. I think we're just changing paragraph A and word investigate to review, right?
Yeah.
So we're still at A and we haven't got down to.
Right.
So that's what the first issue was that the guy, from what I can tell, the people on the right, they didn't like the word investigate. They want to change investigate to review because it sounds like less like they did something wrong. Isn't that wild? Fucking hell. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe they need to feel like.
Is we're keeping the blue and the red. Is that correct?
Well, Dave is saying we're still up in A.
Thank
so
you.
We'll take one line at a time.
Exactly.
So it doesn't get too confusing as I'm doing it right now.
That's a good idea. So just looking at A,
Good,
my
thank
understanding
you.
is what we're looking, that the red is staying in A.
The red is staying.
Yeah, I think everything that's not struck.
That's so
is
funny.
what we plan on
So I was already questioning that before they
Police
were.
department that's an elected official.
Well, it's reviewing the conflict of interest.
Where this is only a police audit, so.
Well, the police
I mean, if they
work
don't
hand
know-
in hand with the elected officials. There's two elected, one prior elected official, one current elected official that both the
The way I read,
detectives.
yeah, but I don't know if they're gonna interpret it this way. They're going to.
Oh my God.
interpret it That they're gonna look at the.
Objection, speculation.
Board, other elected officials in the town, because the police are, correct me if I'm wrong, but are there any elected officials in the police department?
May I answer that question? Yes.
Yeah.
The members of the select board are the police commissioners for Canton.
Wow.
And the police chief's contract says right at the top, I think it's the first bullet point,
Right.
the first number is that the police chief works under the day-to-day supervision of the select board. So it's just the way our town.
This townie just asked that, and this townie who's on same county, because that's what I understand. This is how they understand each other there. Sorry, I don't know why it's making noises. So he's on the committee here, police audit committee, and he just asked if there were any actual elected officials there as part of the police. And she's like, may I answer that? Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Town is set up. Some people have said it shouldn't be. Let's look at that, but that's years down the road. For right now, though, our members of our select board are the police commissioners for the town.
Wow.
So we're gonna be looking at the select board.
Just in their role as
Well,
police
there is,
commissioners.
as we get further down, there is a whole section that's going to be reviewing that, I believe, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
y'all,
It is obviously.
reviewing the select board. You know what that means. And this is from 6/12, so I don't know that they've done the review yet. We'll find out.
Doesn't include their
Wow.
function as whatever for affordable housing, et cetera. You know, it's just in their role as police commissioners.
Right, so they're elected officials and they're
So
police
where
commissioners.
are we on the
Select
language
board
on
is,
this then?
which is interesting. So let me just explain that real quick. So I did not actually, I don't think know that fully. Like Chris Albert, right, is a selectman. But what I did not understand until now, as clearly at least, is that the selectmen are the police commissioners. Like, let me back it up one more time to make sure I get it correctly the way she explains it. But basically, it sounds like it's, and it makes perfect sense, right? Because he's an Albert, but he's not actually police. But like, I don't know, it's fishy.
Members of our select board are the police commissioners for the town.
That's it. Members of the select board are police commissioners for the town.
So we're going to be looking at the select board.
It's a prop, so they need to, yeah.
Their role as
Yeah.
Well, as
They
we get
have to.
further down, there is a,
That's the only thing that makes sense. Like, that makes perfect sense. If they're auditing the police committee and the select board, which includes Kevin Albert, are police commissioners, then obviously they need to look at the select board.
whole
Makes sense.
section that's going to be reviewing that, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This obviously doesn't include their, like, you know, function as whatever for affordable housing, et cetera. You know, it's just in their role as police commissioners.
Okay, so where are we on the language on this then?
I think we're okay.
Elected officials and appointed officials within their roles with the police department. As related to the police department?
As related to the police department, so I'm okay.
I'm fine with that, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that would be A.
That's correct.
A is done, I guess.
All right, so
Sounds like.
Allison, you've got A down? Okay, what about B?
I think I'm good with that.
Okay,
We always gain
Gifts.
traction after the first one.
Hmm?
We always gain traction after the first one.
all right.
Now,
C, review disclosure.
the
procedure.
other thing is we have to remember this is just the Canton Police Department, right? Like Trooper Proctor, you know, like there's issues in the Massachusetts State Police as well. And from what we can tell, there's also some weirdness with the Boston Police Department. So, like, I wonder if they have any televised meetings there where they're doing this type of thing with the Massachusetts State Police. I feel like I would doubt that. Obviously, the things that have happened recently, like the disciplinary hearings and whatnot, you know, y'all know they weren't televised, which they should be, in my opinion. If anyone does know if there's like, you know, anything going on with the Massachusetts State Police in terms of them dealing with the fallout of all the fucking issues they have, if any of that is available to watch, like, y'all let me know. But I was just remembering because like the gift thing just reminded me of it. I was like, you know, like it's not just the Canton Police Department that needs to be overhauling everything.
Pages,
Good.
that's, okay.
See if they've been.
Having said that, it does seem like to me that while both of them are maybe equally corrupt, it does seem to me that at least the Massachusetts State Police isn't as terrible in terms of how to do the job. Okay, how to do the job, assuming that they're not fucking it up because of conflicts of interest. So, like, in other words, like the CERT team people, right? There's people that were involved that seemed to actually, like, they had more training. They didn't use red solo cups. Like, that's really what it comes down to, is they didn't all use red solo cups. That was only Canton PD. This, you know, the Massachusetts State Police didn't, I don't know, they didn't seem to be as completely like Gallagher. It's like lacked. I don't even know. I don't even know what. It's wild. Like, just sit there on the stand and just act like everything's normal. Anyway, so I will say that, like, in terms of having skills to investigate if they're not fucking it up because of other reasons, right? Like, they seem to know a little bit more than Canton, but the corruption and the other problems, right, seem to be about on par with each other.
Is what's written up there.
Okay, I don't have a problem with I mean, that's the reason we're having the audit. But
No, it's weird. I guess
so
random
that
girls
can
catching
stay
up, I think.
As it is with that added in. D is recommend measures to prevent and address conflicts. That stays in. Any problems?
Yeah, that's sort of like the summary. Can we at least move it to the end?
Can we move it to the end?
Recommendations usually are,
Problem with that?
not at the very
The
end,
reviews
just at the end of
section?
this.
Oh, okay.
Just in terms of continuity.
Fine with that. No objections.
Okay, now we're on to, well, it says, see, in the red, investigate the influence of family members of the police and family members of elected officials.
Change it to review.
Investigate has been changed.
They're
to
getting-
review from the
y'all,
prior comment.
they-
Good with that.
I think they're adding too many colors here, in my opinion. This is going to get too confusing, I think.
Okay. And then we go down to.
They were
review
already
cases that were
confused.
handed over to the Attorney General and the State Police for conflict of interest and report back on the outcome of the investigations.
You know, I think the potential problem with that one,
Yeah,
once
that's-
a case is handed over either to, I'd say very rarely to the Attorney General, but the district attorney or the state police, getting the outcome. I mean, and we're talking about an internal audit of Canton Police Department.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what authority we would have to have our hired entity, our hired auditor, to get to audit reports from another department or another agency.
They
I don't
wouldn't
know what
have
the
to do it.
feasibility of that is.
If,
No, maybe if possible, because
yeah, well, if they, assume, if they cooperate and if they hand over those reports and that information.
Well, I think what it's asking is just what's been turned over to the Attorney General. For instance, I believe Charlie, town administrator, has mentioned that, you know, the investigation into the signing of the town meeting petitioners, signature gathering was turned over to the Attorney General.
Right. But
So that's just, that should be within the.
no, I agree with that, but that specifically says the outcome of the investigation, which we would only get at the subsequent termination of an investigation.
Huh.
And I don't, and you know, I think that would be fine if we just put when and if possible after investigations, because having worked for one of those agencies, the Attorney General's office, for 12 years.
Oh.
You know, oftentimes that there is an investigative exemption that's claimed, and you're going to be very hard pressed to get reports. And again, it's our auditor that we're hiring for the Canton Police Department audit.
Oh, boy.
And that gives the appearance that we're auditing the investigations of other entities that I don't know if we really want to go in that direction or get into that. That aspect
Yeah,
of-
thought quitter.
Well, what it's just doing is it's reviewing, you know, the status of the case. We could potentially.
It really is. It's
update that
wild.
Because the petitioners, you know, the ones, especially the ones that were targeted through the officer coming to their house to say who collected these signatures, or some fraudulent signatures on these forms. They want to know the outcome
Wow.
of the investigation. I don't think they've
Wow.
heard anything back from, you know, the Canton chief or they
Wow.
should even hear back from the
Oh.
Canton chief.
Conflict of interest and report, comma, when possible, on the outcomes of the investigation.
Status of the investigation, when and if possible.
Status and or outcomes in case it is.
Whatever. It's just that I know from having worked.
What they're arguing over right now, if I were to try to summarize this, is that one of the things that's proposed, I would imagine by the folks on the left who seem to be more reasonable, is that people who have made reports about conflicts of interest and shit like that with the police, that they want to get updates as to what's happening, right? Reasonable enough request. And the dudes on the right, but especially the dude on the far right, who says he said he worked in the DA's office for 12 years, and this would be, according to Bob, this would be a townie who's well connected, you know, he's pushing back and saying, well, you know, sometimes things take a long time and the investigation, blah, blah, you know, basically trying to find reasons why, like from what I can tell, to say he wants this off the list. And all the thing is asking for is to say that people can get updates and, you know, be apprised basically as to the status of the requests that they've made to look into conflicts of interest. And he's pushing back like, no.
in
Amazing,
that,
really amazing.
in that universe, that oftentimes getting reports, especially when this involves the audit of another agency, and it would certainly take on the appearance that we're trying to audit the investigations.
Every
of
excuse in
other
the book
entities.
sounds
Well,
like.
we could add a caveat in there. We're not looking to
See?
investigate other entities.
Wow.
At the end of the,
This dude on the right is making excuse after excuse. He's like, this is simple. So the dude on the right is adding new excuse, right? But we don't want them to be confused that we're auditing other agencies. And then the dude on the left is like, yeah, we'll just put a caveat in there that we're not auditing other agencies. Done. Problem solved, right?
sentence, maybe an
Crazy.
additional sentence. This is not intended to audit the Attorney General or the state police.
Right.
This is only authorized by the town of Canton.
Put back on the outcomes of the investigations whenever possible.
You know,
Or when
status available.
available.
Well, one of the, if I can say, one of the issues with that particular case that David mentioned is that the police chief was in the Canton Citizen saying, all right, well,
It's amazing.
we've turned over this case now to the Attorney General because of a conflict of interest. But if you feel your name was used, blah, 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 call Detective so-and-so and here's his number. So it was like, we've turned it over, but call us. So I hope that that would be covered by this. Situations like that. That's not the only time that's happened where, oh, we've recused ourselves, but we haven't.
Right.
And I think
Yes. Accurate.
between,
Ugh.
you know, they're not bullet points, but between the things that we cite, I think we would cover that.
Again, I just don't want to put anything in there that it creates an expectation that we're going to be very easily able to get records from other prosecuting agencies that, I'm sure we can come up with verbiage that's going to cover it without creating that expectation.
Well, if the auditor.
How is he still having problems with this? That's insane. Question for you, Dr. Bob. Do you know of anywhere, do they film any of the Massachusetts State Police shit, like the audits? Is that, I haven't seen it, but being a local, you might have an idea if there's a way to get any of that info. I'm just curious.
Access the data because it's ongoing investigation. I'm sure they would include that in the report. It's an ongoing investigation. No.
Or
available at that time.
Even if it's not video footage, but even if it's just like, reports or whatever,
But I don't think it should be precluded.
No, I didn't say I thought it should be precluded. It's just that the verbiage I thought was pretty strict in indicating that we were going to be.
He wants to be able to get away with all
our auditor.
That's
into the
pretty
Attorney
fucking
General's
fair.
office at 1 Ashburton.
Amazing.
Records, and I know that's not going to
Would
work.
it work to just have when possible at the end? I mean, that's a phone
Yeah,
call. Like,
when possible. Yeah, I think that would cover us. And
would you guys like to cooperate with us?
Yeah. So we could put, Allison, you get all set, so when possible.
Oh, there's the dude on the far end.
And F was that just added in, the green, I'm sorry, A was moved to F.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
We've cleaned that conflict of interest. We're at the end, right?
Yep.
Yes, and Mr. Chair, if I may, I'd just like to add one more sentence if possible. Just after watching the ongoing trial that's been happening this week and
Right.
prior month.
Yeah.
I'd just like to review the Karen Reed case for conflict of interest. That case will be over
Wow.
by the time this gets out to the auditor.
I don't think it's appropriate adding this.
Sorry, hold on. Let's hear that again. Oh my God.
And F was that just added in, the green, I'm sorry, A was moved to F.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
We've cleaned that conflict of interest. We're at the end, right?
Yep.
Yes, and Mr. Chair, if I may, I'd just like to add one more sentence if possible. Just after watching the ongoing trial that's been happening this week and over the prior month, I would just like to review the Karen Reed case for conflict of interest. That case will be over.
Reasonable.
By the time this gets out to the auditor.
I don't think it's appropriate adding a specific
Incredible.
case. You're supposed to review everything.
That's what brought
Incredible.
this.
It might have, but
should be included
that's
in
a
it.
loaded weapon right now.
Yeah.
We don't know that it's going to be over. We don't know the decision. We
Wow.
don't know what's going to
Well,
happen.
even if it is over
Doesn't
the
ma-
state police and district attorney's investigation.
I do think if they, oh, I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
So what I was looking to do is to review the conflicts of interest within Canton alone. Canton was supposed to recuse
Right.
themselves
Yes.
from the investigation of
Wow.
the state police, and been the appearance that they haven't
Wow.
recused themselves under testimony that came today.
Y'all,
Um,
you know, there's a saying about this is how the sausage gets made or whatever they say. We're seeing how the sausage gets made in Canton, which is incredible that we get to see this, right? And watch this process play out.
which I'm not going to get into the full testimony, but that's the reasoning and basis for
Gotcha.
adding that in late into this. It was based off of some testimony today.
So we're back to an investigation, not an audit.
No, we're going to audit.
That's an investigation. is all we know.
They're here to
An audit
audit.
is an investigation.
They're
to
here
some
to
degree.
audit everything, so that is implied that it'll be included.
I think we're already asking for a lot of that stuff throughout it. And when we go to one, the laundry list that's there.
They don't
all
want-
This stuff is already included. You got verbiage that you want to add in on one specific area. I think it's covered in a general area without being specific to one case that is not a good idea to do while it's still active, and it is active.
Well, we haven't identified that anywhere in this document. Judge Canoni mentioned, I believe on Monday, that we should be wrapping up and going to jury deliberations for the end of the month.
Wow.
And that's probably going to be before we even get this out to bid.
Wow.
and The auditor starts their work. So to say that the Karen and Reed case is still ongoing, we can't use it, it's an active investigation. The investigation is going to be over by the time the audit starts.
Regardless, this is the whole police department in one case. This may have catalyzed the audit, but it shouldn't be specifically mentioned because it's supposed to be looking at everything, and it's implied that they will look at it.
Sorry,
The
that was
nature
funny.
of it is it going to be?
It's implied that
we're
they will look at
review
it.
Conflicts of interest in the Karen Reed
I
case
mean-
only, or are we going to do it in everything, including the Karen?
Like part of the problem is that the people who are going to be looking into this are the people that are the problem, right? Isn't that part of it? Like,
Because if we're going to do it in everything, then it should stay like.
I mean,
this.
hopefully
There's no reason to
audit usually is a third party, right? So I hope that's the case.
add one particular case.
Would it be possible to address without mentioning the case name by saying, because I think,
We are by having them.
That's a
look
good
into all the
compromise.
Conflicts of interest.
but if I could finish, I think what really sticks in the craws of taxpayers is the use of the headquarters that they built and they maintain for, what
The
to us
Lallybird.
look like conflicts of interest. When
The
you
Lallybird.
accuse, like you don't bring, all this evidence into
Right, the
a place
Lallybird.
that has
The
recused
Lallybird.
themselves.
That's it,
So, as taxpayers, we work hard for our money, just like you guys do.
right?
And that does bother people quite a lot. What if we didn't say a name, but we added a line about, the use of taxpayer-funded facilities, or however you wanted to say that, when it comes to other agencies, of course, I'm the state police or whatever other agency might want to use our facility, and the conflicts of interest that could arise in that situation. Would that be a way of addressing it without saying the name?
Jack, as a retired colonel in the state police, I don't know the relationships, whether
Oh
this
my
is
God.
common or.
And again, I confess I did not listen to the trial today, so I don't specifically know what you.
Wow, this is wild. Dr. Bob, I will look into this. I'll look into that. This is crazy.
They're talking about. But in terms of an audit, in my humble opinion, an audit is not to look into one particular investigation. This is an overall look at the Canton Police Department. In the Karen Reed case is not a Canton Police Department investigation. And, if we're talking about
This
conflict of
missing
interest,
point because it's about them recusing themselves from the case.
we've just gone through an entire paragraph here, and I thought we covered everything that needed to be covered in terms of any potential conflict of interest. And now we want to get into the weeds and explore any conflict of interest in one particular investigation. And I don't think that's what the intent of an audit is. I really don't.
Could I just say for clarity, for the first 2 hours, it was completely a Canton Police investigation until the time of death. And it wasn't until after that that the call went out to that we're going to recuse ourselves from investigations only, it turned out. Sorry, from interviews only.
Right,
because it's
yeah,
changed.
yes.
A lot of people are saying.
I
they've
like
heard of
her
that
a
kind of
lot.
recusal Where you just recuse from this, but you can have all
Right.
the evidence.
Lovely.
To the police
Love her.
headquarters.
Yes.
So for the
You're
first
talking
2
about
hours.
are you talking about the vehicle in the garage?
Yeah, but I do want to say for the first 2 hours, it was
Lallybird.
completely in the jurisdiction of the Canton Police.
No,
Yes,
I mean,
we
I-
are,
I-
Kit
It was
Smith,
my
yes,
impression
we
that
are.
when
We're in the room.
decision was made
wild.
to conflict out of the investigation,
Wow.
and I believe I'm correct in this, it meant that they would not be involved in any of the interviews, any of
Oh
the
my God.
investigation.
Oh my
And I
God.
don't personally see the use of a facility to store a vehicle.
Oh
as
my
a
God.
conflict of interest. I mean, I could look at that.
Oh
10
my
different
God.
times, and
Oh my God.
I don't think one time I would come up with a conflict of interest to use a garage. I know the district attorney does not have a garage to store a facility.
The Mass State Police had the cars unit, the
Cars unit. You guys remember that includes Trooper Paul? Let me back that up just a second for something here.
for the first 2 hours, it was completely in the jurisdiction of the Canton Police.
No, I mean, it was my impression that when the decision was made to conflict out of the investigation, and I believe I'm correct in this, it meant that they would not be involved in any of the interviews, any of the investigation. And I don't personally see the use of a facility to store a vehicle as a conflict of interest. I mean, I could look at that 10 different times, and I don't think one time I would come up with a conflict of interest to use a garage. I know the district attorney does not have a garage to store a facility.
The Mass State Police had the cars unit, the collision something, they have a whole.
Trooper Paul.
Unit,
Trooper
like,
Paul.
bays and,
Massachusetts
That's-
finest.
That's the state police maintenance
They
facility.
towed it past the Milton Barracks to get to Canton.
Oh my God. I can't believe this is happening right now.
The Milton Garage, Milton
We're
Barracks.
really
as far as I know,
arguing
and
over
I
this.
know they have a bunch of hoss stables and some very small.
Oh my
garages. That
God.
building was built in, I think, the
Wow.
1880s.
Milton
Wow.
towed it, I believe, after it left Canton, so.
Wow.
I
This is interesting. We're finally getting to hear from people who are just in complete denial and have like no, ability to think clearly, critically, logically, whatever. We're finally hearing this. This isn't, I mean, wow. Because I've stayed, you guys know, I know other people have been exposed to it in other places, but I've been very fortunate not to have to talk to that many people like that. So.
And again, I'm not a world authority in this, but in my humble opinion, I don't see the use of a garage as creating
Wow.
a conflict of interest.
Could
Sorry?
we please allow us to
Oh,
talk
wow.
and you not talk? If we have questions,
Oh
we
my
will
God.
come to you, but we would like to keep it up here.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Giving access to evidence to a force that
Oh.
is conflicted,
I would have a hard time being quiet if I were there.
that's okay?
I don't think we're here to prejudge. We're here to get the audit to get to the root of the problem.
Exactly.
So
And my
I
question
think
was.
we can
is
get a
that-
lot
Wow.
further.
My
if
question
we
was,
don't
is
go
that
that
covered?
avenue.
Is that covered by
I
what
feel
we
it's
have?
covered. If you want to say
Wow.
something to the effect, review the use of Canton facilities by outside law enforcement agencies, I don't think that should be an issue.
So, Mr. Chair, what I came up with is
Wrong with that?
review conflicts of
By
interest
outside
between
law
state and
enforcement
federal
agencies,
agencies.
comma,
Oh, that's a good one.
You know,
When the Canton.
Sure.
Police-
won't specifically mention a case, but
Could you repeat that, please?
review conflicts of interest between state and federal agencies.
Sounds good. I'm in favor of that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good compromise. Well done, sir.
Are we all in favor of that?
Review conflicts of interest between state and federal agencies.
And I think you mean between the CPD and state and federal agencies. Is that
Right.
what you meant?
What he
Yes.
said.
Okay.
State and
No, that's not what he
federal
said.
agencies.
Yes, you are.
That's what he
right.
meant.
You know, This audit does involve.
It's
the
implied.
CPD, so-
We're looking at the CPD, so
Yes,
it's implied
so-
in
Between the
that.
No, it needs to be
CPD,
stated.
I don't see
It
that.
needs to be
Between
stated.
the CPD and.
Yes, it needs to be stated. Oh God,
and
I can
state and
speak.
federal
Yeah,
agencies, yeah.
We're all in agreement on that?
Yep.
Go.
good.
Move to
Better put it in
approve
writing.
Paragraph 11 as written.
Excuse me. Can I just say that you're making us feel like the Karen Reed case will have absolutely nothing to do with this
Oh.
entire audit by saying it's a
Oh.
state police case. It's
Whoa.
not a Canton PD case.
Whoa.
And they did more than just use the garage. They arranged, they
Whoa.
contacted witnesses, they arranged interviews, they did several other things. So the Karen Reed case is very much part of Canton Police Department's issue with this
Oh, wow.
whole audit. And brushing it under the rug is not going to help the citizens feel any better about this.
First of all, please, you're out of order, and we're not trying to get
Oh my God.
specific cases right now. We're trying to do a review of the entire police department, not the Karen Reed case.
Oh my God.
It's there, we know it's there, everybody knows it's there, but we're
Oh,
doing
boy.
an audit of the police, and that will be involved in it. No, not now. Thank you. I could read your mind reader at this point.
Whoa, what?
All right, do we have a, did we vote
Move,
on?
move to approve motion, paragraph 11.
Second.
All those in
Third.
favor?
Aye.
5-0. All right, that
Move
moves
to
us to
strike
comparison
Paragraph 12.
of similar communities. We were going to delete that entire section.
Yes, move
Correct.
to strike.
So that move to eliminate comparisons to similar communities. Do we have a motion?
Move to strike paragraph 12.
Second?
Ah.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Okay, that's, God, we're moving right along. Select Board Oversight and Industry Standards.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Yeah. Select
All
board
right,
oversight.
assess the oversight provided by the Select Board is in there, okay? Dave, you added, who is or was the point person on the Select Board that communicates with the police chief? I would, well, I don't know enough about their procedures to,
Okay, I mean, I don't have a
I don't
problem
have a
with
problem
that.
with it, really.
Compare this over.
And we have compared this oversight to industry standards and best practices. That's all right. And then you had the last one, review official town communications of all major stakeholders regarding the oversight of the Canton Police Department by the Canton Select Board as the Canton Police Commissioners. Yeah.
I'd like to suggest an addition to review whether, taxpayers, we all get annual reviews. Like everybody who's paying, most people who pay taxes get annual reviews. And we find it to be very helpful. And companies find it to be very, the private industries find it to be very helpful. And there was a great op-ed recently about, I think it was by Lisa Lopez, who pointed out that that's one of those private industry practices that could help government as well, and that we currently don't review the job. It wouldn't be up to the citizens to review, but to the direct boss of the police chief in Canton is the Canton Select Board. And review the, I'm suggesting the addition of review, whether it would be helpful to have the Select Board do an annual review of the performance of the police chief.
Performance of the police chief. Oh, boy.
I'm not exactly sure what we're doing on it.
Oh, boy.
I mean, I have no problems with this because those are public documents. They're all town documents. If you want them reviewed, certainly entitled to it, but that's not an issue as far, I mean.
Okay,
by law.
so move to approve paragraph now 12.
Without adding the possibility of having a.
Change from the deletion of the
Oh,
prior
okay,
paragraph.
all right.
Without adding to review whether an annual performance review would help to improve the performance of the police department.
And is that within the, that's an opinion, not
Yeah,
part of an
it's,
audit?
I'm not sure it's within the scope or within the audit that we're trying to perform, but again, maybe a word change here and there.
Good night,
Yeah,
Dr.
I don't know
Bob.
whether- Is that
Have a
already
good
being
day
done? for
tomorrow.
audit?
Well, I think it's
No,
being
it's
done
not.
throughout the,
The police, I mean, is it?
Thanks for being here as
Citizens
always. We
Select
love
Board
having your
already
perspective. Always great.
Review the performance,
This,
some level.
I think
maybe.
they've made clear they don't even want to oversee the.
Right.
Again,
The select board has made clear when speaking to us that they don't even want to use their power to oversee the police department.
Mr.
that's
Chair,
their decision.
so in regards to what we're discussing, it sounds like an additional item E would be added, which I would propose implement and/or review performance reviews and who is responsible for the reviews.
Yeah, that's fine. That would be fine.
Yeah, performance reviews. Yeah, good point.
Or it could be added to A as a second part of A.
For instance, do we have performance reviews for the officers?
I think every department does.
Okay, but, okay, then.
And
I
are they
suspect
They don't
that
even
they're
know?
Review performance
What?
reviews of senior police officers.
Yep.
Why,
It should
why keep
probably-
it just to the chief?
It should be all officers.
Well, they do, trust me. The rank and file definitely. and
Of senior officers,
In
including the
fact,
chief.
in fact, I don't have a problem with it because
Oh,
I'm
boy.
certain they do have it. Again,
And then who's conducting the reviews? Is it
well, that's what they're gonna do. They're
is it
gonna
the human
review.
resource manager? Is it?
Well, that would be
police
part
chief?
of, that would be part of the review. They'll get back.
So the lady on the very far end on the left is typing it, the changes. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the lady who, Catherine, what was her last name? The lady who's been talking, who we saw earlier, she keeps going, leaning over to the lady doing the typing and is like, including the chief, to make sure she gets that typed in there. It's great.
They'll come back and state whether it's
Tell you who's doing
inappropriate.
what, when, and where.
Could we say review the use of performance
Howley,
reviews?
yeah.
Because otherwise it sounds like we know that they're happening now and we're just going to look at the documents that are being, created when I think in many instances they're not being created at all.
I'm not familiar with the inner workings of the Canton Police Department and how they do their internal reviews, but in my experience within my own department and a lot of departments that I'm familiar with, patrolmen are reviewed by sergeants, sergeants are reviewed by lieutenants, lieutenants are reviewed by the captain, and the rank of chief, I profess not to know how that's reviewed, but I'm assuming that's probably within the bailiwick of the Board of Selectmen.
Right. And so
Right,
you,
that would be a problem.
but I love that you understand, how important that is and how, it improves efficiencies and performance and all
Right.
of that. It's a great, it's
Well,
a
let's
wide
ask the
variety-
auditors just that, review how
Review the-
reviews are performed and who's performing them.
Review the use of performance reviews though, because we're not, yes, review the process of performance.
Sounds like there might be another person out there in the audience speaking.
Something like that.
Wow.
Review the process and quality. Can we say review the process and quality of performance reviews? I'm fine.
I don't have a problem with any of that, but the paragraph that we're trying to insert
But it
that
sounds
in,
like you're
I do not think that the select board has any oversight into the internal, and I'm talking
Right.
about the lower ranks, patrolmen, sergeants,
They're not-
lieutenants,
Right,
etc.
they're
I
not
don't think
discussing that, dude. They're talking about the chief.
the select board has, and again, my humble opinion, has any involvement in that at all. And I don't think that they, unless they requested
Oh,
it,
boy.
they probably wouldn't have any access or have never asked for the records of the rank and file. Maybe the
That-
police chief.
And that's a good point, but they would be the ones, according to the police chief's contract, they are the ones who have the direct oversight of the police chief. There's no one else.
Okay, so we're
So,
going to
You want to break it
review
into two
the
parts? Would that help?
process
He's
and
raising his hand.
performance
Oh my God.
reviews of senior officers, including the police chief.
But,
Or chief of
I think Jack's point, and I would be happy but if Jack did have a good point, review the process and quality of performance reviews of senior officers. Yeah, and we can leave it the way it is. I think it's general
Fine.
enough that it covers.
So, Mr. Chair, Mr. Kelly made a good point. Does it belong in the select board oversight? I would be okay with moving it to the other administrative items paragraph that's probably printed on your paper under paragraph 18. And on the document would be 17, the working document.
So we're cutting.
So it's not part of the select board oversight. Let's move to an administrative item to review.
Okay, so why don't we move it down there and then we will review it when we
When we
get to
get to
that.
that.
Yes,
And then-
and approve this present one without it.
Correct.
Got it. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I hate to ask you to do this, but could we go back to paragraph 11?
Uh-oh.
Last.
Damn it. I was just about to say, wow, they're like making progress. I think that this is a good example though of, how to get things done, right? Like this is really fascinating because you're seeing the guys on the right, they don't really want to budge. But the people on the left really want to get shit done, right? And but they totally understand who they're dealing with, and that you catch more flies with honey, right? And that you have to compromise here and there. And I think that one thing that was really great was just a second ago, Miss Howley, she actually not complimented isn't the right word, but she said to one of the dudes over there on the right, I guess it was Mr. Kelly, she was like, yeah, that's a great point. You're right about this, blah, blah. I agree. Like that's what I wanted to say. She agreed with him. By agreeing with him on something, it could be even a less important issue, could be the thing that isn't really what matters to what she's saying. But by agreeing with him, it puts it into a place where now it puts a compromise, it puts that into the realm of possibility. And it sounded like they were kind of all right, we're all together. And now he's like, hold on, can we go back? Let's see what happens.
Review the conflict of interest between the Canton Police Department and state and federal agencies. I don't have a problem at all with the concept, but I think the initial wording, review the conflict, it's like we're making an assumption and we're telling them that there is a conflict. If we could just insert review any potential conflict.
Fine with that. And it should be conflicts plural.
Right. Yeah, that's fine.
That's just a typo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, Jack. Thank you.
Okay, good catch.
Again,
Neck will
see,
only take so much.
Yeah.
that was good. That was another opportunity for them to agree, which is good.
Called old age. Who said that?
Okay, I have it could go off the rails at any point. I mean, this audit committee meeting is it's still over 2 hours left of it, so it's a long meeting. So I do have to go because I do have to go teach a lesson. So I wasn't quite sure. This was not planned. I was just scrolling when I saw this police audit, and I was like, holy shit! There's all kinds of meetings on here, and if you guys want, we can watch as many of them as y'all want. But I do want to plan on looking deeper into some of the things that were raised at the last select board meeting. I've done a little bit of research already on my own. She mentioned a couple different Canton police officers, and then there was the Walpole Terrace. Did a little bit of looking into that. And then I do want to also we will go over the case law, the rest of the case law that we haven't already talked about that's in the defense motion. So we might do all of that tomorrow night and then do the next recap on Saturday. So I think that's what will be the plan. So good night, Blackletter. Thank you for joining us. As always, we love you. So yeah, so I think that'll do it then. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. This is fascinating, and I really love getting the local perspective. I really do. I think this matters so much to me to really understand why this has created so much division and the getting the feel for the dynamic in the town, and it's really helpful. So okay, but without further ado, yes, good morning, etc. Exactly, yes. But I will see you guys next time. I'm going to go ahead and roll the outro. See y'all later.